Hey, good morning. I'm awake. I slept in. I did shower this morning though. I showered yesterday, but I wait until like the afternoon. So I showered. I prefer Monday morning quarterback. We're going to talk football today. I prefer when there's two games. Yesterday's schedule was perfect because I can get my shit done in the morning. I can eat lunch. And then I can get some more shit done in the afternoon before the first game kicks off. And the second game is over around when it's time for me to go to bed. I stayed up a little later. Maybe that's why. But really, I didn't stay up late. I went to bed about the same time. Biscuit went to bed early. It was like 8:50, and she's at the edge of her perch. And I'm like, you want to go outside? You want to go to bed? I know. So I'm like, okay. The game had ended at what time? 8:45, somewhere around there. Or at least that's, I think, when the post game ended. It's like, okay, I'm going to watch something. I've watched football all day. I want to watch like Dateline or something. And so I think that's actually what I put on Dateline. And I was bored with it, and it got to be like 9:45, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to bed. And then I shut my alarm off in the middle of the night. I think what happened, though, this is really weird. I think what happened, I had my alarm set for 5:30. I think I woke up at 5:30 and shut my alarm off. And usually I have it like another. I have like you have multiple alarms. Now I don't use. Do you use multiple alarms? Annoys the shit out of me. I'm a one alarm guy. It goes off, I get up. It's time to wake up. If my alarm is set at 5:30, and unless it's this morning, my body says, nope, you're going back to bed. But I'm a one alarm guy. This morning, I was a one alarm guy. Went off, I turned it off, and then I woke up. The crazy thing is, I woke up to like a dream where my wife is yelling at me. Bo! And I'm like, what the fuck? My wife's in Florida, by the way. My first thought was, I hope she's okay. I hope this isn't like my subconscious, like she's having. So I got to text her. It's only 8:25 in Florida, so she's not up yet. Hopefully not up yet. So that's how I woke up this morning. It was like, I think it was like right at 7:00. I'm like, holy shit, it's 7:00. So I did my routine because this isn't like an office job. If this was an office job, actually, I probably would have went through the same routine if it was an office job. If it was my last job, I would have done the same. Hey, I'm taking a shower. I'm getting ready. But when I worked in radio, like you had to be there. Otherwise, yesterday's news would run. And then, that's a bitch right there. Or I have to record the sportscast. You got to be on the air. So that's when you like you wake up, realize, oh shit, I overslept. You get dressed, get out the door, and get to the studio so you can prevent yesterday's news from running. And when you work at the office, it's like, because it's not like it happens all the time. If it happens all the time, then you're going to get in trouble. But if it's a one-off thing, you text your boss. That's what you do now. I like that. You don't have to call in. I'm sorry, boss. I overslept, like we had to do back in the Stone Age, the 90s or the early 2000s. Now you just text your boss and be like, "Yo, I overslept. I'll be in a half an hour." So that's what you do now. So yeah, I overslept this morning. So low roller scratcher. That's why I'm late. What else is going on? So yesterday I did multiple sorting yesterday. I've got to ship my ass off today. Because I didn't devote as much time as I should have to shipping Saturday and Sunday. So I'm not behind. It's just I'm actually like a day ahead of my terms because I do 3 business day handling. So like everything that was supposed to ship by like today is already shipped. But the problem is there's like 200 items that need to ship by either tomorrow or Wednesday. So it's going to catch up. So you want to cut that off. Plus, it's Madison Card Show week, which is going to be, I ran into some issues. I think I saw James make some comment about the show this weekend. I'll touch on that. Watch some football, drank some Honolulu Blue Kool-Aid, go Lions. So we've got Lions and 49ers this coming week, and Chiefs versus Ravens. Almost exactly how I wanted it. So I didn't jinx the football teams this year. Usually I jinx them. The only team that didn't make it that I wanted to win was the Texans. So, and that was the least, if I had to rank who I wanted to win 1 through 4, 1 would have been the Lions, 2 would have been the 49ers, 3 would have been the Chiefs, 4 would have been the Texans. That was my power rankings on who I want to win. I think it would be cool. So I've fallen into the media trap, into the pop culture media trap. I want the Chiefs to win. Well, because I think Mahomes and Kelsey are a fun combo. I think they now have the record for most quarterback to receiver touchdowns in playoffs with elite company. Montana Rice. Who was the other one? Manning and Harrison, maybe? Or Brady and Gronk. But also because I want to see Taylor, is Taylor Swift performing at the Super Bowl? If not, it'd be cool to see her and I know people like, Taylor Swift didn't see. Oh, I'm tired of it. Shut up. Just shut up. I think it's awesome. And I say shut up not because I disagree with you. I say shut up because what's it any different than showing like Jason Kelsey, which was, by the way, was fucking awesome yesterday. A shirtless Jason Kelsey chugging beer in the stand. Like, that guy's awesome. Or like back in the Rams, way back with the Rams in the 99, the greatest show on turf Rams. You had the cut to Kurt Warner's wife like all the time. But I bet if there was Twitter, I bet, because I remember, like, I don't know who it was, but oh God, there's Kurt Warner's wife. I think it's just we bitch about. We just want to find things to bitch about. That's what we are as humans. If there was Twitter in 1999, everyone would have been bitching about the cameras going to the box with Kurt Warner's wife. So it is what it is, I guess. Of course, I want the Lions to win. Lions Chiefs, I think, would be an awesome Super Bowl. I'm sure the network would hate it, but I'd love it, and I don't care what the network thinks. This is why I was late. If you're just tuning in, I turned my alarm off. Not really. I guess this is kind of incorrect. I didn't turn my alarm off in the middle of the night. I turned my alarm off when it went off at 5:30 and just didn't set a new alarm. So that would actually go against my one. I'm a 1 alarm guy. Sometimes I'm a 2 alarm guy. Sometimes I'm a 2 alarm. Usually though, when I turn my alarm off at like 5:30 and I like reset, usually I'm up before. Like sometimes I'm just like, the alarm goes off, I turn it off and I set a new alarm, and then I just look at Twitter, check my email, and then I'm like, well, I might as well wake up. So usually even if I do shut off my alarm with the intentions of having a second alarm, it doesn't get to the second alarm. I either just get up or I fall asleep and wake up before the second alarm goes off. There he is. Victor, what's happening? Good morning. David's in the house. What's up? Red light says, hit the thumbs up for being late. There you go. And admitting your mistake. Good morning, Mark. He was checking out Hobby Evolution reruns. I love it. I love it. Michael Renicky. Hey, good morning. You are one that I need to reach out to about the Madison Card Show this week. Are you setting up? I couldn't remember if you told me, because usually I write this down. And actually, you know what? Let me just check my spreadsheet. I may have you down or not. I did have Tony out. I got to follow up with Tony. Michael Renicky, I don't have you down. So let me know. Are you guys in for this Saturday? Madison Card Show. Neil, what's going on? Good morning. Mark says the two most terrifying words for a Bills fan, wide right. Oh, man, wasn't that? That was brutal. Shades of 1991 all over again. Turkey Cards, good morning. Donald Davis in the house. Good morning. Took a vacation day from work. Freezing rain in my area today. We're supposed to get some shit here too. I think we're supposed to get ice today and like ice today and snow tomorrow, which is not good. But then it's supposed to warm up. I think when it might actually, it's 12 degrees right now. That's a warm up, but I think it's actually supposed to warm up above freezing this week. That's good. Kyle's in the house. Good morning. Mikey is here. Good morning. I'm at the doctor right now to go over my MRI. Well, good luck. Hopefully those are good results. Ryan Sells, what's up? It's an ice rink in Oklahoma. And I should probably look at the weather before I go outside. I don't want to become a viral internet sensation for taking Biscuit out and falling on my ass, and the Ring camera captures it all. I couldn't tell if it snowed last night because it was so windy. Like my sidewalk had I look out, and I think we were supposed to get at one point they said up to 4 inches Monday and Tuesday. It's like another 4 inches. And it looked like there was a couple inches on them. I'm like, shit, is it snowing? But it's just blowing because the rest of the area was no snow. So it was just drifting across my sidewalk. T206 Kid, good morning. Football does a better job with playoff game times compared to Major League Baseball. I would agree with that. Major League Baseball is they try to hit prime time and it's too late. You're right. Football does a great job. How about the Super Bowl? The Super Bowl kicks off at 5:15 and it's over by 9 o'clock. That's perfect. That's perfect. You are so correct. MLB. Now, I think it was the college football national championship game. That was actually at a decent time this year. I think it's what championship? I think it's the NCAA tournament championship where it tips off at 8:15 Central. It's what the hell is going on here? Ridiculous. Some of the World Series games. Yeah, you're right. NFL does it better. NFL does it better than MLB in a lot of things. A lot of things. Good morning, Philly Joe. What's going on? Freezing, listing, and shipping. Let's go. Love it. James says, when will you know if you're setting up in Madison or not? So right now, I am not setting up. That's why I need to circle back to Michael. There's also 2 other dealers that that weren't set up last month. I need to talk to Tony because I have him out, but I think he said in his blog he's in. I went through my list of vendors yesterday, and I have, without Michael and 2 other dealers, I am 15 dealers oversold. 15. I can't just squeeze 15 tables in. So that's a conundrum. So what do you do? Well, I give up my 2 tables. That's the first thing that goes. I can squeeze, even after squeezing an extra 7 tables, I can probably find space for a couple more, but that only gives me 4. And I've got 15. So I did email my contact at the Sheraton on John Nolan Drive yesterday. Emailed her saying, hey, I got 2 questions. Number 1, is it possible to rent the 3rd ballroom for Saturday? Number 2, if the answer to number 1 is yes, I can supply my own tables and I can do the setup. Is that allowable? Because sometimes unions and stuff, it's no, you can't do any setting up. And I've offered multiple times when these incidents happen, because this isn't the first time I've oversold it by this much. I've oversold it on top of the 7 tables that I already basically oversell, right? So I'm can I come? And they've always like, no. We will set up. But I know they don't have tables because I've had to go out and buy extras. So, so we'll see. We'll see what the answer is. It's I'd say there's probably a 20% chance that I set up. Just because that third room just adds a whole different layer of difficulty for me as a promoter. Just making sure signage is accurate, making sure everybody knows where the different rooms are. Because it's not like Oak Creek has like 5 different rooms, but it's within the same building, and like, okay, it's kind of like you kind of know where you're going, even if you're new there. The Sheraton is difficult because it's a hotel. So you've got to actually find the rooms where the card, you're familiar with 2 of them. Now you throw that third in there. It's a little wrench. So I don't want that third room to be like nobody's in there. So that's the difficulty that lies in. And people generally don't read signs. I could put signs everywhere. I had somebody, I don't know if it was a wife, girlfriend, sister, mom of a dealer. When I've only done 3 rooms once, and she's like, you need more. And I had signs, like I had like 6 signs with arrows, and I'm like, well, there's one right there. What else can I do? Stamp it on your forehead, like hold your hand and say, let's go this way. Like signs only do enough. People have to read the signs. So it's difficult. So it's unlikely that I set up this Saturday. It's unlikely because either I have to give up my tables and just find a way and end up doing what I don't want to do, cancel on people if the room's not available. The problem that I run into with that third ballroom at the hotel is it's used every Sunday for like a church program or something church related on every Sunday. And then sometimes there's like it's like the nicest, it's the smallest, but the nicest of the rooms. They have like I was like briefed on some of the stuff that's in there, and like we have to like strategically place tables because the art on the wall can't get damaged because it's like thousands and thousands of dollars. I'm like, what? Why is it in a hotel ballroom? Not my decision. So they have like bridal showers and stuff like that. Teas, like old lady teas. I can say that because there's no old ladies watching. I've seen the demographics on this. So yeah. So it's unlikely that I'm setting up in Madison this week. Just with the problems I caused for myself. That's the problem I have when you get so many vendors in, and some aren't regular on a monthly basis. And then it's like, hey, I'll be back. And then I forget, or I don't have the spreadsheet created yet. It's like, yeah, I'll get you down. And I don't. And then I just start booking because I want new dealers every month. So I'm like booking, and then I book too many. And then here I am. So sometimes it's okay to overbook until you overbook. Because usually people drop off. I actually had one dealer yesterday reach out to me, and so this is 15 tables overbooked before this vendor reached out to me, and he goes, "Hey, I'm gonna need one less table this month." And I'm like, "Thank you, that actually helps me." And even after that, I was still 15 tables overbooked. Plus, if Michael's setting up, if I think Adam's setting up, who else don't I have? I think there's one other person that didn't set. I think Michael set up last month. Daniel, shit, there's a lot. So there's multiple people that I need to follow up with. And that's with I think only 1 or 2 of my regulars are out this month. And plus 5 stars probably not going to be there. I think Matt's going to be out of town, and something happened with his backup that probably won't be able to make it. So yeah, that's the Madison card show. Hey, come on out and see the shit show that it could be because I overbooked the card show this month. Saturday, January 27th, Sheraton Hotel, John Nolan Drive. 100, maybe 150 dealer tables. We'll see. I think it probably could get up to 160 dealer tables with that third ballroom. So we'll see. That also means I've got to go to Fleet Farm, which I'm probably going to go to Fleet Farm anyway today to buy more tables, because at the least I'll need to get a couple and squeeze them in every nook and cranny that I can. I had one dealer after I stopped, and I've got a waiting list of 10 to 15 dealers that I finally started cutting off last week. And one guy's like, he's like, "You don't have any space?" And I'm like, "No, I literally don't." Literally. I'm like, if you want to bring your own table and set up in a random hallway, I could probably find a spot for you. And he's like, "Okay, well, here's for February." And then a little bit later, he's like, "Okay, we're in." I'm like, "Okay." So, it's a great problem to have. I'd rather run into this problem than be like harassing people. "Hey, come set up at my show. I need dealers. This is a great, I'm not complaining. I'm only complaining because I brought this on myself. This was my own, and this is the second time it's happened. And I told the hotel it wouldn't happen again. But the last time I found out they actually had a couple more tables, but I don't want to like push it. Plus, I don't have space. Like I ended up like, I told them I won't let this happen again. So when I did overbook, I just bought the tables myself. So here we are. Mark says my bladder gets me up at 6. I haven't reached that point yet. Sometimes, you know what I've noticed? If I consume sugar, I bet that's why I didn't sleep well last night. I had an ice cream cookie. That's why I didn't sleep last night. Ice cream cookie. It was delicious. It was worth it. It was worth the oversleeping. Usually when I consume sugar, like I bought like a 6-pack of Pepsi, like of the bottles, like 17-ounce bottles. But I can't because it's too much. It's way too much sugar. And if I can consume it during the day, but at night, no. It'll keep me up. Like I can drink even Diet Coke. If I drink a Diet Coke after 6, it keeps me awake. And every time I do it, and I do it, and my wife's like, that's going to keep you up. And I'm like, I'll be okay. And then at 11 o'clock, I'm tossing and turning. And my wife's like, "I told you so." Yes, dear, you were right. No Diet Coke after 6. Mr. Archer, what's going on? Good morning. Good morning. Bill Simus in the house. Orlando is here. Good morning. Harlan says good. I don't know what that means. Oh, morning. Good morning, he says. Neil says Detroit going to have their hands full in San Fran next week. Yeah, they are. They will have their hands full. But hey, if the Packers could play that well against the 49ers, I think I think the Lions can. Max says, no alarm guy here. If I have to get up for something, then I set 2 just in case, but never need the second. There you go. I think if I didn't do Hobby Evolution, I wouldn't set an alarm at all because I'm usually an early riser. Like on the weekends, like I'm usually up at 7 on the weekends, but I just lay in bed for an hour and then make the coffee, take my time. Because I say I'll be on at 8:30, 9 o'clock, somewhere in there on the weekends. Because I just like to have that breakup of the work week. Because even though I work for myself and I like to have the weekends, it's not a week. Like I don't have a weekend. When you run your own business, there's no such thing as a weekend. There shouldn't be. You've got to work 7 days a week if you run your own business. And unless it's like humming, unless you've built it up, unless you're Rob at Burbank and you let your other people, they can run it for you. I'm not there yet. I don't think I'm going to be 80 and still shipping hopefully more than 200 a day, 200, more than 100 a day, 200, 300 a day. No, hopefully at that point I'm 80. Shane, good morning. What's going on? Christian's in the house. He's got that Honolulu blue Kool-Aid and cornbread. Who's eating? Go Lions. Troy's in the house. Good morning. I texted my buddy Brandon. He's the friend from growing up that I've talked about. Barry Sanders collection, Larry Johnson collection. He doesn't. I've had people reach out to me and they're like, "Hey, you've got that friend that's a big Larry Johnson, Barry Sanders." He doesn't collect them anymore. He collected them when we were like 12. But he doesn't. Like, I just like trade him Larry Johnson and Barry Sanders just to trade, because usually he's collecting like Aiden Hutchinson or when DeAndre Swift was drafted. DeAndre Swift, I usually don't have too many of those. So I'm like, and he'd have Cubs for me. I'm like, well, here's some Barry Sanders and Larry Johnson. So he's the biggest Lions fan I know. Well, maybe Christian. So I texted Brandon before the game yesterday. I'm like, hey, man, I'm rooting hard for the Lions. And he's like, I've been waiting a long time for this. Because we were hanging out. The last time the Lions won a playoff game, we were like running the streets of Anawan, playing Super Nintendo, and he was collecting Barry Sanders was actually playing, and he had that cool binder of Barry cards. Neil says, when you ship, are you printing a pick list for your orders? No, I am not. I do not do that. I do so many that it's a time suck, and I don't think it's needed. I think it would certainly help, because I get a lot of and when I say a lot, I ship a lot, but I bet 1% of my orders, which doesn't sound like a lot, but you know, when it becomes double digits a month, it seems like a lot. That people will be, in fact, it happened yesterday. Somebody reached out and I don't know what card it was, but they're like, and it was from like November 8th. And they're like, hey, I never got this card. And I'm like, okay. And I checked the tracking, and it was at destination processing. It never was marked delivered. And about an hour later, they followed up and they said, never mind, I misfiled it. I get that all the time, because people are going by. So I don't even know if a pick list would help this. They're going by, is it delivered? And so they're just going through and it says shipped, but not delivered. And they're like, oh, I didn't get this card. So I think that's what happens a lot. And unfortunately, it happens more and more with the tracking on ESC. Now, fortunately, we do have tracking with PWE. I was sending, I was doing what I'm doing now without ESE. I had a stamp guy who would, I'd pay like 36 cents a stamped envelope. And I'd get that a lot more then, because, I would just mark it shipped. And of course, I would never be top rated plus, which is something that I don't want, because you have to ship within a day. I don't want that. But you also have to have have tracking with everything and all that. So, which I do now, but back then I didn't. So, but no, I do not do a pick list. It might, here's the thing, like the 1 or 2 out of 1,000 that it would help. Like, think of the 998 incidences of printing those pick lists, the money involved in printing it with ink, paper, the additional time and cost. It's just not for low end cards. I would consider it if I was doing bulk volume in higher end stuff, but on $1.50 cards, no, I'm not gonna do that. Sal Dougie, good morning, and he's a Lions fan as well. Red Light is not a Chiefs fan. He says, "Fuck the Chiefs." Come on, man. Red Light's dropping the F-bomb. So it's who? Chiefs and Ravens. See, I don't want the Ravens to win. The Ravens? The worst Super Bowl that I remember was the Ravens and Giants, because I didn't know shit about either team. That was in, I think, 2000. I also got sick. My dad made I think I've shared this story before. It was the year 2000, or maybe it was the year 2000. Maybe it was the 2000 season. and it was 2001 because I'm pretty sure I was not in high school when this happened. Because my friends went to Clinton, Iowa, to the Pig Pen. Anybody familiar with the Pig Pen in Clinton, Iowa? Which, well, it's been closed for like 20 years, but so it was Super Bowl Sunday, Ravens, Giants. I had friends over, like in college, like my parents' house was kind of the hangout when we were in college. And is my friend Bill, Chuck, Joe, and I'm sure there was a bunch of others, but those were the Three Stooges. So my dad made chicken wings, and they were just like breaded chicken wings, and they were like really greasy. And I was probably drinking Busch Lights. You put Busch Light and greasy wings together. And I just remember like waking up in the middle of the night and just puking up chicken grease. I hope you're not eating your Cheerios. And after the Super Bowl, so I think there was like a snowstorm maybe that night. But my friends were like, let's go to the Pig Pen. Seven Dust was playing at the Pig Pen. This was, I guess Seven Dust had been around. They had two albums out already. Home had just come out like that year, I think. Or this was 2001, so it'd probably been out for a couple years. I think, when did Home come out? The self-titled album came out, I think, in 97. I think Home came out in 98 or 99. So it'd been out for a couple of years. They might have actually had their third album out by at this point. Anyway, they go to the Pig Pen, and I think there was a roadblock. Oh, it was Super Bowl Sunday. So it was probably a Super Bowl Sunday roadblock. I think they'd been drinking. And so they had to like dodge this roadblock. Kids, don't do this. Don't do this. I was at home puking up chicken grease. My friends are out dodging roadblocks in Clinton, Iowa. So that's what I remember about the Ravens Giants Super Bowl. I don't remember a damn thing about the game. Maybe too much chicken grease and Busch Light. I don't know. Let's see. Shane says he does. He prints out a pick list. Easier to pull cards as well when you have the list in front of you. And I can see if you are printing out pick lists, I can see the advantage of bulk label printing if you're printing out pick lists. But I just how I do it, I can't show you, but say and I run it. Anytime you're doing volume, you're going to have issues at some points. I just had a text come through. I want 2 tables this weekend. Well, I don't think you're going to get 2 tables. I'm sorry. So basically, it's like tab 1A, somebody bought this Tony Perez card. So I'll go through my orders awaiting shipment, and it's like, here's an order for Tony Perez. Here's an order for Bart Starr. Here's an order for Chris Jericho. And I'll just put them in a pile like this upside down so they're in order. And then I go back to the top. And then, I'll have a stack. And I just... But I've got to be careful, because especially when it comes to the volume orders, I've got to be careful that I'm getting every card in there. And I've missed cards. And, hey, I didn't get this card. Probably some of you watching. And it's like, oh, shit, you're right. I overlooked it. So that happens. If you buy something and you don't get it, like, it's usually not the seller trying to rip you off. It's just an honest mistake. Like, it happens to me. I'm not going to say all the time. It happens. It's common that, oh shit, I overlooked the card, or I misfiled the card and I can't find it. Of course, there's sometimes where, who was like the star of the show yesterday? Like, I don't know, Jared Goff. Like, if it's a Jared Goff rookie that you have priced from 6 months ago and it sells yesterday, and the guy's like, oh, I can't find it. Right. There, you can read between the lines. Max says, I don't think Taylor will perform there for 20 years. You realize how much of a mess the Super Bowl is already. Add another 100K people. Well, how is that going to make any difference? I don't understand this sentiment. How much a mess the Super Bowl is already. Why is the Super Bowl a mess already? And how are you adding another 100,000 people? You can't. You can't get them in the stadium. You got to have a ticket. You sell the tickets. Usher this year, but I thought that like Taylor was because they always have like a cast. So who's with Usher? Usher's the headliner. Super Bowl halftime show. It's Usher, and then there's like two other people that will be with him. Everyone who's performing at the 2024 Super Bowl. Usher, Reba. So we've got Reba. Oh, Post Malone. Andra Day. So that's who's all going to be at the Super Bowl halftime show. I love Post Malone. Who doesn't love Reba? So there you go. Taylor Swift doesn't need the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl needs Taylor Swift. That's why I want the Chiefs to win. That's why I want the Chiefs. Imagine that. Chiefs in the Super Bowl, Taylor Swift in the stands. That's what people are like. The script says the Ravens and Niners. The NFL needs to go off script. America needs Taylor Swift in a suite at the Super Bowl. Corey Garcia, what's up? Good morning. Let's see. Michael says, yes, just so one table for Michael. You got it. Or do you need two tables? You can have the two tables. Let's see. Okay. Michael. Hold on. Just adding Michael. All right. I'm going to put you down for one. Let me know if you need the second. Let's see. Happy Monday, Peter. What's going on? Andy Mack says Bears hire Shane Waldron as OC. Really? Are we happy about this or are we mad about this? Who is Shane Waldron? I'm glad it's not Cliff Kingsbury. I did not want him. I was hoping for Frank Reich, but I don't know if that's good or not. Okay. Mark says Taylor Swift, Kelsey is great marketing for the NFL. Number one selling jerseys are the Kelsey brothers. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I love it. I love it. Flipping sports guy is in the house. He says Giants fans love to hear wide right. Yeah, old Scott, shades of Scott Norwood yesterday. Brian, good morning. How about those Chiefs? Use the lobby for tables. I don't think that would fly. I don't think the Sheraton would let that fly. Joe Trotto, what's going on? Happy Monday. Victor says, I saw Tony at the Orland Park show. If I recall, he did say he was going to be at John Nolan Drive. I also bought some great Cubs cards from him. Awesome. Yeah, I think he told me, I think he might have said last month he didn't know about January, but then I was reading his blog and he said, I'll see you in Madison. And then I actually sent him a message. I texted him in a couple things that I read in the blog. And then I said, hey, I'll see you next week. And he's like, thanks. I'll see you then. And Jamie, what's up? Good morning. Zach and Porter in the house. Johnny M says, good morning. You do know that there's a chance one of your listeners may be identifying as an old lady today. Hey, that's possible. I apologize in advance. Good morning, Flawed Thinker. Porter is in the house. What's going on? Max says, I can finish a diet due right before I go to bed and have zero issue. Never understood the I can't have caffeine after X time thing. Well, because not everybody is you. We all have different bodies. I don't understand that you can have a diet due right before bed and have zero issues. I don't understand that. Although I used to could. Now, the older I get, the less tolerant I am of sugar or caffeine. Johnny M says up at 5:30 every morning for the last 30 years. Have never set an alarm. Go to sleep 11:30, 12 every night. Damn. Plan on sleeping when I'm dead. See, I used to do like 2-3 hours of sleep in my 20s. I would, especially when I worked in radio, I'd be on the road doing broadcasting games. I'd get home midnight, 1 o'clock. Sometimes I'd put audio together for the next morning. I'd be up at 4 or 5 a.m. to do morning show. Sometimes I'd take a nap in the middle of the day. Sometimes I'd just power right through it, do it all again. And I mean, I probably averaged in that period of time 3 hours of sleep a night. I'd have friends like, oh, you can't do that. That'll kill you. You can't do that. I'm like, I'm fucking 25. I can do anything I want. You are a Superman when you're 25. And you don't realize that until you turn 40. And you're like, man, I used to like only sleep 3 hours. Now if I sleep 3 hours a night, I'm like a fucking zombie. I can't do shit. Shane says, somehow I've gone from having an alarm set at 5-minute intervals from 6:30 to, oh, you're one of those guys. From 6:30 to 6:50 for Hobby Evolution. And about 2 weeks ago, I woke up at 5:22 and my brain decided that's my new wake up time no matter what. Isn't that funny? Like, and it can be random times. And it's like, oh, I woke up at 5:22 again. That is crazy how our bodies are like that. Good morning. 4-leaf cards in the house. Flawed Thinker says, my 1948 Leaf boxing card sold last night at auction for $80 plus. I know it may be an outlier, but it seems that vintage is definitely a great buy. I just need to do more research into the past. So I'm curious, Flawed Thinker, was that lower than your expectations, higher than your expectations, or was it about what you expected to get for that lot? My thought process with eBay auctions, especially pertaining to lots, is that you will get steals. Doesn't matter what it is. Now, of course, like the higher popular, because I'll look up prospect lots and stuff, and some of the hot they're still going to go for market value. But you can find some steals, especially when it comes to lots at auction. So I'm curious what your thoughts are on that sale. Was it below your expectations, above your expectations, or was it right there in the middle? Victor, good morning. I bought 2 Jordan cards recently at a great price from 2 different sellers. Both refunded me because they can't find them. That's curious, because it's not like Jordan's in the news. It's not like The Last Dance came out and Jordan prices increased. I'm curious, was it at auction? Because I can see that happening with auctions, or, because a buy it now, like Jordan, most Jordans, like you're going to set the price, and if it sells, it sells. Like you're not going to unless it was just listed and you're like, oh shit, I listed it at the wrong price. I'm curious. Like, it seems like sometimes when I can't find a card, it's like a 2020 Allen and Ginter Tony Perez. Like that's a legit. But when it comes to like Jordans, the higher end stuff, then it's like, maybe there's a little shady shenanigans going on. Brian says, Harbaugh's can't have 2 championships this year. Anything but that. Orlando says, hope they find the cards, Victor. Shane says, Bucks versus Raiders. Rich Gannon versus Brad Johnson, I believe. Worst I can remember. Oh, yeah, I forgot about that one. What year was that? That was like the early 2000s. See, I was in my 20s, so I don't remember any of those Super Bowls. I watched them under the influence of Busch Light. Bucks Super Bowl XXXVII. So that's what, 37. 2003. Oh yeah. So 03. No shit. I still would have been living at home. I don't remember if I was at home for that game though. So that was a run of some shitty Super Bowls. Because I think that was the year right after, or 2 years after the Giants Ravens. The Raiders. Brad Johnson and who was the quarterback for the? Who did you say? Brad Johnson and Rich Gannon. So who was? So that was Super Bowl 37. Here's 38. Super Bowl 38. That was a pretty good one. Oh, that was the beginning of the Belichick Brady era. The Patriots and Panthers. I don't remember the Panthers. That was John Fox. 32-29 Patriots. Tom Brady, Super Bowl MVP. Let's go. So who was the Super Bowl MVP of that one? The Super Bowl MVP of the Raiders Buccaneers Dexter Jackson. He must have had like a couple interceptions or something. Who was the halftime show that year? How come it doesn't have the halftime show? Oh, Shania Twain, No Doubt, and Sting. That's not too bad. What was Super Bowl 36? Oh, that was the Patriots. Oh, that was the beginning of the Patriots era. Super Bowl 36, Tom Brady, MVP. Patriots beat the Rams 20-17. Halftime show was U2. That one sucked. I'm sorry. I'm not a U2 fan. Super Bowl 35. That had to have been the Ravens. Yeah, Ravens 34, Giants 7. Ray Lewis was the Super Bowl MVP. Halftime show was Aerosmith, Britney Spears, Nelly, Mary J. Blige, and NSYNC. That sounds fun. The Backstreet Boys sang the national anthem. Okay. Happy Monday. Grinding for goods in the house. Flipping Sports Guy says, pick list is great for pulling cards. Now the packing slip to send a customer is a complete waste. Ah, gotcha. Yeah, so the only time I ever used a pick list was for Sport Lots, which also doubled as a packing slip. So basically I would pull the pick list and then I would just, take, so here's my pick list. And so it would be like 2020. I don't even know what an eBay pick list looks like. Perez. So the pick list, like, oh, this order is for Tony Perez. So then I just take the Tony Perez, I'd top load it, or I'd put it in a penny sleeve and put it in a card saver. So that's not how I pack it. And then boom. And so the pick list actually doubles as my pick because I put paper in the package anyway. I wrap the card saver in a piece of paper anyway. So, but I don't have a printer down. Like my printer, I just use I'm hooked up to my wife's printer upstairs in her office. So I don't want to print all that shit. So many unforgettable Super Bowls. I didn't even know that in 2016, it was the Broncos against the Panthers, not even 10 years ago and already forgotten. I forget, like, I couldn't tell you who played in last year's Super Bowl. Was it the Eagles? Did the Eagles win last year's Super Bowl? Like, who was last? I don't even know what number we're on because we're so high in the numbers. Like, it's been like when I was growing up, it's like, well, Super Bowl 20 was the Bears. That was like my line of demarcation. Is that the correct term to use? Super Bowl 20, 1986. Super Bowl 30, 1996. Super Bowl 40, 2006. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh shit, we're at Super Bowl 55. What Super Bowl are we on now? So 2023 Super Bowl. I guess I could do the math based on the Chiefs won last year. Chiefs beat the Eagles. It was close. Chiefs beat the Eagles. So, like, yeah, I completely forget. Andy Max says, I use my phone as a pick list. I have my computer up and I just scroll down. It's like Tony Perez, Bart Starr, Martin Short, Jason Jennings, pull, and then go back up, ship. Shane to Flawed Thinker, I will never forget that Super Bowl. It was amazing. Oh, yeah, Broncos fan Shane. Flawed Thinker says, maybe it's the fact that the Panthers were in it. That's a good point. Scam Newton, Shane says. Because of all the snow delays, I got a message from my post office that I have a lot of packages, all stuff from the past 2 weeks. And now I've got to explain to the wife. Bummer, dude. Good luck. Max says Scam was the best player in the league for probably, 2 years? Flipping Sports Guy says Post Malone is doing America the Beautiful and Reba the national anthem. So are they not coming out at halftime? I thought there was always like the collaboration. Although Rihanna didn't have a collaboration last year. That's always fun when it's like Rihanna is the halftime, but then collaborators come out and they do something together. That's always fun. Shane says exactly, and then fell flat on his face and was irrelevant. Max says that's a lot of guys, though. Honestly, just goes to show how special guys like Rodgers, Manning, and Brady are. That is true. Good morning, JW. Low Roller says I sold 2 cheerleader cards. I did. And I thought, see, this is okay. So this is a good point. Can you mark this down? Monday, January 22nd, 2024. Low Roller Scratcher with a good comment. Sorry, Low Roller Scratcher. No hate. I did. I sold 2 cheerleader cards, and this is a perfect example of me missing what I thought would like be a hot seller. Okay. What I sold yesterday were 2 XFL cheerleading cards. They've been listed, and you're like, well, why is it a failure if you sold them? Well, because they've been sitting in my store for probably a year, if not more. When I pulled them probably out of a Goodwill pallet, I'm like, oh man, these will sell right away. No, they sold yesterday. Sold, more than a year later. So sometimes that's you take chances on what you list. And it's like, sometimes I think something will sell fast. It doesn't, but that's how you know. Sometimes I'm going to try this, and you try it out, and it's like, damn, that's sold pretty fast. And all of a sudden, if you can't remember, just write it down. And okay, what sells? Ricky Henderson. What doesn't sell? XFL cheerleaders. Sometimes it's like, oh, I wonder if these World League or CFL cards. No, not going to sell. But Minnesota Vikings, like police cards, I sell the shit. I think I sold 3 or 4 this weekend. And it seems like they sell like at the end of their 30-day cycle. Because it's, based on the search ending soonest. People are probably searching for Vikings cards, and then boom, I'll move 3 or 4 of them. Seems like every month that happens. Same with my 1976 Fleer NFL stickers. They don't sell at all over the course of 29 days. And all of a sudden, that final day, that last 24 hours, I'll move like 20 of them. Max says, how much time do you old people sleep during the day? Love the people that say, yeah, I only sleep 4 to 5 hours at night, but midday they're looking at their eyelids for 3 hours. Mark says that's a steal. E-Snipe Auctions. Flawed Thinker says I spent about $110 for just over 30 of the 1948 cards. I sold half of them individually at Buy It Now for over $250. So I just lotted the rest of them to keep the product moving. I'm sure they got a deal. Okay. I mean, I guess it depends on who the boxers were, and were they, if it were all 30 of them like common boxers, or were there like some superstars that you sold as part of that Buy It Now? So I guess it's hard to say. And I don't know. That's why I was asking do you think it was were you expecting that, or were you expecting more or less? Donald says, I had a customer purchase a card and the customer sent me a different address. I refund the customer and canceled the order under the wrong address. That's one way to handle it. Sometimes I just send it to the address they give me. Here's the thing, like, it's not shade. So eBay can see your messages. That's why you're not supposed to do, when somebody's like, hey, let's do this off eBay, don't even respond to those. By the way, if anybody, because sometimes I get emails through eBay with like questions, just type them in the comment section here. I have an email address, 1millioncubsproject@gmail.com. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. I'm on LinkedIn. Like, you can find me. Don't send me messages through eBay. Just send them here, send them to my email, send them anywhere, and I'll eventually find them. But I don't respond to eBay messages if they're like not about an item, because eBay tracks that shit. And so if somebody sends you a message and says, hey, I didn't change my address, because by the way, I'm living this nightmare right now of trying to change my address in like every freaking company I've ordered with in the last 8 years. It's a pain in the ass. And I know how easy it is to get an old address, have a card, supposed to go to my old address. So I don't cancel the orders. It's not shady. It's probably legit. If they send it to you in an eBay message, it's completely legit. eBay will side with you, because you'll be like, this is the message they sent me. I sent it to the address they told me to. And eBay's like, yep, you're right. And they will side with you, the seller. So if somebody sends me a message and says, hey, I have the old address, can you send it to this address? I just usually I'll just yeah, I'll do that. And I go right away so I don't forget, or I write it down, hey, make sure that Tony Perez is going to Springfield, Missouri and not Hot Springs, Arkansas. So that's how I handle those. And it's actually it's not uncommon. I guess it's not common, but it's not uncommon. So that's how I handle it. It's legit. If it's not legit, eBay will side with you because it's in the eBay messages. Shane says, what is sleep during the day? 5:30 to 7 is video games, 7 to 8:30 hobby evolution, and then go to work from 9 to ? Then hang out with the girlfriend. I don't get to nap. Even if I try, she says I can't. There you go. So Shane doesn't get to sleep during the day. Chiefs, Eagles. Chiefs won. Should remember the Kelsey Bowl. I should, but I don't. Flipping Sports Guy says Super Bowl and WrestleMania. Numbers no one even remembers. That's true. WrestleMania is the same. Growing up. But it's also because they were low numbers. You can remember. WrestleMania 1 was the intermixed tag. Mr. T and Hulk Hogan. WrestleMania 2 was Hulk Hogan versus King Kong Bundy. WrestleMania 3, of course, we can't forget that one, the Pontiac Silverdome. Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant. WrestleMania 4, I think, was that the tournament for the WWF Championship? WrestleMania 5, I don't remember. Maybe Hulk Hogan and Macho Man. I think WrestleMania 6 was Ultimate Warrior versus Macho Man in the main event. WrestleMania 7, I don't remember what happened there. Or was 6? Yeah, 6 was the double main event because it was also Hogan Slaughter. WrestleMania 7 would have been... What was WrestleMania 7? Because I think Ric Flair had... Oh, wait. Ric Flair had not come in yet, I don't think. WrestleMania 7. Somebody Google. I have Wikipedia right here. WrestleMania 7. WrestleMania 8... Oh, 7 was Hogan Slaughter. Okay, I'm off. So where's the results? Hogan Slaughter. So 6 would have been Ultimate Warrior Macho Man. Oh, no. Ultimate Warrior Macho Man was WrestleMania 7. Hogan and Slaughter. So what the hell was WrestleMania 6? WrestleMania 6. Oh, WrestleMania 6 was Hogan Warrior. Ultimate Warrior defeated Hulk Hogan. Okay. And then WrestleMania 8. Oh, that was where Ric Flair. So that was the double main event, right? Hulk Hogan, Sid Justice, and then Randy Savage versus Ric Flair. Flair was the champion. And then WrestleMania 9, I think that was at Vegas. Caesar's Palace. That was a fun one. All right. And then after 10, it's like they all blend together. So Travis Kelce hates his Topps rookie card. On his podcast, he said he will never sign his auto on it again. Said he will sign the word no instead. That's funny. I think that's funny. So if there are, and I'm sure there are, autographs of Travis Kelce of his rookie card, that just means they are worth a lot of money. Bill's Thomas says, thoughts on Sports Illustrated possibly being done, going to miss the SI for Kids cards. Yeah, it's certainly a gut punch, man. I like Sports Illustrated was like an institution. I had subscriptions throughout my childhood and into adulthood. Yeah, it's like I would get in trouble for reading Sports Illustrated in study hall because I was not a very good student, and it's like, you need to be doing your homework, not reading Sports Illustrated. It's like, I'm going to be a sports broadcaster someday. And I was. So take that, Mrs. Poole, Mrs. Capes. I'm trying to think of what other two. Mrs. Brown. Take that. Brian says, guess I will buy another version. Johnny M says, I'm sitting on hundreds of Playboy Hustler cards that sell fast. They are a pain to list. You have to block out all the good parts. Victor says, I recently ended all listings that were over a year old and $3. Then I delisted all of them. Did not make a difference. No movement. Your thoughts on this strategy? I think I'm indifferent on the strategy. I have done it. I've seen some. I haven't done it enough to really know if it did matter, right? Because sometimes if you don't do enough of it over and over again, you can't like build. It's like building a business. Like you can't start selling low end cards on eBay and expecting to be a successful business in 6 months. It just doesn't happen. I've got a friend of mine. We were just texting this weekend, and he's like, he's a get rich quick guy. He's a hustler, but he doesn't put his time into anything. So every venture just, I don't necessarily say it would fail, but it doesn't get to where it should be because he just doesn't want to put the time into it. And I'm like, dude, you're not going to build any type of business. And I think he said, well, what if I buy an existing eBay account? I'm like, well, that's not legal. You can't do that. eBay will not allow that. So I haven't done enough of the end sell similar on my eBay listings to like really know. It seems like it worked. It seems like it did draw more traffic to those listings and maybe to my eBay store, but the sample size is so small, I have to discount it. Some people swear by it. And so if it works, it works for them. If it works for them, it works for them. Great. And maybe I should try it some more. So I would say if I don't know, if you've only done it once. And so when I did, I would only do like 200 at a time. You know, I didn't do my entire store. So I don't know. Here's my thoughts, and I touched on this yesterday. Any activity in eBay is going to help the algorithm. You know, a lot of times I'll read on forums and various places that I sent offers out on. I sent an offer on this card, and then it got bought at full price, which happened to I think a Sterling Sharp card. I sent out an offer for, I don't know, 10% off, or maybe it was listed for $2, and I sent an offer I think for $1.50, and then it sold for $2 full price, and that's pretty common. So I think it's just like the algorithm; it trips the algorithm when you're doing any type of activity. That's why it's not necessary to like just list new cards. That's not tripping the algorithm. Usually when you make sales, when you're listing cards, it's because you're listing new cards. And so people are either following your store or they're looking for a card that's newly listed and you just listed cards. But all activities help the algorithm, whether it's ending in sell similar, listing new cards, responding to offers, sending offers, messages, all that stuff. It all helps. Diego, what's going on? Good morning. Johnny says, I don't have time to sleep during the day. Wish I did. Between eBay, gym, house maintenance, and hanging with friends, I am busier than when I worked, and I'm 63. Flawed Thinker says, all boxers were in the Hall of Fame. I did research to make sure my listings were correct. Each card listed at $10 or less, so they sold for about what I thought they would sell for. Okay, there you go. Dave says, I got a negative the other day because I didn't use a top loader. I used a card saver. I hate stupid people on eBay. Yeah. And that's something that you can't fight. Like, you can fight anything on eBay. Doesn't mean you're going to succeed, but you can, you kind of have to get lawyer speak when you're, especially on something like this. A long time ago, when I was trying to dispute, back when you could much easily talk to people at eBay, which is much more difficult now. Somebody on the other end in customer service says, well, I think it was, I had like this nightmare scenario, and it really hurt my account, which is why I started another. So I've had like 3 or 4 main eBay accounts in the last 26 years. So this was the account that I had right before my current account. So it would have been 2014, 2015. It was just a nightmare scenario. I'll talk about it another day. But anyway, they left me negative. It was like they had bought I think it was like promo CDs, and they'd bought a whole bunch, and the shell cases got the CDs weren't damaged, but the shell cases were. The shell cases were shit anyway. So they wanted like a partial refund, but they wanted to keep them. And I'm like, no, you send everything back for a full refund. They only sent like they kept all the good CDs, sent everything back, got a full refund, and then left negative feedback on every listing, which it was like 12. And I think that's when, and I think this was 10 years ago. I think negative feedback actually, that was part of their monthly ratings. Like that went into it. It doesn't anymore, but it did at one point in time. It was just a nightmare. And so the person, and this made sense, like that whole scenario was just a giant, just shit show. But the person on the customer service line actually made sense when they said, negative feedback is like, they had a negative experience. Like your customer had a negative experience. Whether we think it's legit or not, like we can't control how they feel. We can't control how others feel. So when it comes to negative feedback, like I get it. So I don't fight a lot of my negatives, maybe half of them. Sometimes if it's just a bitch and I'm like, fuck you, I'm going to get that negative. Then it's like, okay, I'm going to fight it. And so you have to get like lawyer speak when you're explaining your case. And something like this in Dave's situation where he got a negative for not using a top loader, but rather a card saver. You go to eBay and request feedback removal from eBay and state your case that, top loader was not part of the item description. You should, the buyer received their card in the condition as described, and a top loader or card saver was not mentioned. And I don't know in my listings if I say, at one point I think I was putting cards, because I was when we had the great top loader shortage of 2021, people hated getting card savers. And the thing is, I ship in card savers because I prefer card savers in PWEs because they're not rigid. You don't want rigidity in a plain white envelope. If you want rigidity, send it in a bubble mailer. So that's why I don't like top loaders. But I used to, and I didn't have that many issues. I've had less issues with card savers than I did with top loaders. I can tell you that. But again, it wasn't like an egregious amount of issues with top loaders. So that's one way around it. And so Dave says eBay did remove the feedback. So yeah, so that's a situation where, you can get it removed because it's not like the person didn't buy a top loader or card saver. They bought a card to be protected and receive it as the condition was described. And that's exactly what happened. They received it in the condition as described, and it didn't matter what it was in. It could have been sandwiched in between two pieces of cardboard. And if it got there safely, that's what they're buying. They're not buying the supplies. They're buying the card. Shane says, eBay people are stubborn and expect too much. I got a neutral last week because the shipping took too long. That's common. Asked for a revision and heard nothing. Asked eBay and they removed it the next day. Yeah. And so those are the things with shipping time, and a lot of my neutrals and negatives are on shipping time. Sometimes eBay doesn't remove. Sometimes it's like one of the last batches that I submitted for removal. There was one in particular, and I can't remember the cases on each of them, but one feedback, I'm like, there's no way eBay's going to remove this, but I'm going to take the chance. The other one was like, this is a no-brainer, eBay's going to remove it. And guess what? They removed the one that I thought had no chance, and the one that's still there, you can still see it. Let me go to my feedback. Negative. Come on, show me the negative. $1.50 Omar Vizquel card. Has not shipped on time. Should ship the next day. That's not my terms of service. I ship within 3 business days. I thought, well, this is a no-brainer for removal. I think I requested it too early. I don't think it had been delivered, and so that's my fault. I don't think I can go back and do a. I think you only get 1 request per listing, so it's there. So I can probably go to Facebook, eBay for Business, but feedback doesn't really it bothers me when I first see it. And, if it's one of those, like, I'm going to fight it, I'll go fight it. But otherwise, I just don't care. So that was like, I'll fight it. But if they don't remove it, I'm going to drop it. I'm not going to spend time getting that feedback removed. Let's see. Shane says, my parents have been selling on eBay since 98, but only auctions. I had to show my mom yesterday how to list buy it now. She's been getting so many offers since. Sometimes I feel like the hero in my own world. That's awesome. Love it. Let's see. Mark says, has anyone used the CDP app for scanning slabs on an Epson 600? Can't figure out how to use the new app. I have not. Did eBay shipping go up a penny? It did. Yes, it went up Sunday. So stamp prices went up 2 cents. ESE went up 1 penny. So 1 ounce went up from 63 cents to 64 cents. 2 ounces went up from 87 to 88 cents. And 3 ounces went up from $1.11 to $1.12. So, and we'll probably see another increase in July. Shane just printed eBay labels from the weekend. They are 64 cents now. Yep. And so ground advantage went up. So yesterday was by the way, the USPS shipping increases always take effect on Sundays. Like, I know it surprises a lot of people, like, hey, I thought this wasn't till Monday. No, they take effect on Sundays. At least it's been that way for the last few years. Eric says, I end and sell similar 10 listings a day. I like it because I usually get a few sales from it every week. And it also helps me update listings with accurate pricing that is current with the market. I like it. I should probably do that because I've got a lot of, like, not outdated listings, but outdated pricing on my listings. And so sometimes I'll get an offer of, like, I'll look, it's like, Jesus, this is 20% of my listing price. And then I'll look at the listing price and it's like, oh, well, I set this price like on release day last March, and this is no longer the price. So I will accept. Sometimes I'll accept those lowball offers because it's something that's been just outdated on price. So that's what I had for today. Happy Monday. Go football. Go Lions. Drink that Honolulu Blue Kool-Aid. Big matchup with the 49ers this coming weekend. Don't forget the Madison Card Show this Saturday, Sheraton Hotel, John Nolan Drive. Probably going to be 150 tables because I oversold. My bad. Let's see. We've also got my eBay store, 99centcards.com. I added some football, added some cards of players that are in the playoffs. So check out my eBay store, buy 7 or more, and receive 25% off at checkout. Let's see. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel. Tomorrow is Tuesday. Hopefully I don't sleep in and be back right on time at 7 a.m. Central. Have a great Monday. We'll see you tomorrow.